Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome. Welcome to the series on history, science, and faith in Islam. In the last session, we covered the life and times of Imam Abu Hanifa. This session focuses on the life of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq. Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq was a giant among Islamic sages. He was the sheikh of great sheikhs, the teacher of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Yazid al-Bastami, and Wasim ibn Ata. His scholarship embraced the esoteric as well as the exoteric, ilm al-ishara as well as ilm al-ibara, the sciences of kalam as well as the sciences of hadith, sunnah, the natural sciences, and the historical sciences. He was al-Hakim, an integrator, a true man of wisdom in the Quranic sense, a complete alim who understood that the Sharia applied not just to the world of man but to the world of nature as well. He applied his incisive knowledge to create divine patterns in the world of man through fiqh. But he also saw those patterns in nature and in history, and he taught them to his students. He was the inheritor of two secrets, one from Abu Bakr Siddiq, the other from Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu anhu. He was a far-sighted savant, scholar, who worked to bridge the gap between the Shia and the Sunni, and between Islam and other faiths. No wonder the Shia and the Sunni, the Sufi and the Salafi, the traditionalist and the modernist, all claim him to be one of their own. He lived in exciting times. It was the age of faith. It was the age of reason. It was the age of intellectual consolidation. It was also the age of imperial expansion and political upheavals. It was the age when Islamic civilization came into its own. The seed planted by the Prophet Muhammad sprouted, was tended to during this age by men and women of extraordinary vision and certainty of faith. The shape of this tree and the taste of its fruit were largely a legacy of what these great men and women did and did not do. Just as a tree has many branches, the global Islamic community has many branches, each with its own beauty and its own unique characteristics. Shia, Sunni, Sufi, Salafi, modernist, traditionalist, the esoteric and the exoteric, the Arab, the Persian, the Turk, the African, the Pakistani, the Indian, the European, the Indonesian, and the Chinese. All of these branches grew out of the same trunk. The fact that they are different adds to the majesty and beauty of this tree and its global appeal. Few scholars through the centuries have bridged the differences between Shia and Sunni, Sufi and Salafi, modernist and traditionalist, and fewer yet have risen so high in their scholarship that they were claimed with equal validity by the Shia and the Sunni, the Sufi and the Salafi, the modernist and the traditionalist. Imam Ja'far was one such scholar. The Shias, Ithna Ashari, Ismailis, Alawis, and Agha Khanis alike consider him to be the sixth Imam. The Sunnis consider him to be a teacher of the great Mujtahideen, Imam Abu Hanifa, and Imam Malik bin Anas. The Sufis of all tariqas honor him as a major link in the chain of transmission of spiritual knowledge from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Salafis accept the ahadith transmitted through him. The modernists consider him to be a teacher of some of the best-known empirical and rational scientists of the age, and the traditionalists follow his guidance in matters of faith and ritual. While the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is like the trunk of the tree that is the world of Islam, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq was one of its main branches. Yet another way to look at Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq is to consider him as the amalgam of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu and Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. You recall that upon the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, many companions considered Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to represent the consensus of the community, while others felt that Ali radiallahu anhu was the heir to prophetic tradition and was the one to be followed. The Islamic community split along these lines. Imam Ja'far brought these two streams together through family relationships as well as scholarship. In him, the esoteric and the exoteric, the consensus of the community and the prophetic wisdom merged. Very few scholars had that privilege. Lastly, Imam Ja'far was a master both of Ilmul Ibara and Ilmul Ishara. Classical Islamic scholars divided knowledge into two broad categories, namely that which was accessible to the mind and that which was accessible only to the heart. In the former category belong reason, logic, mathematics, science, sociology, hadith, and the obligations and rituals of religion. This knowledge can be taught and can be learned from an alim. It is called Ilmul Ibara, from the Arabic word alif, be, re, a, ba, ra, which means to wade, like wading from one shore of a river to another. This is the knowledge imparted to a pupil in a school or a university. The knowledge of the heart, on the other hand, is not accessible to the mind, but only to the heart. In this category belong love, compassion, humility, piety, ethics, and the consciousness of divine presence. This knowledge cannot be taught, but a great sheikh can help a pupil cleanse his heart and open it to the unlimited possibilities of Ilmul Ishara. Imam Sadiq inherited and was imparted Ilmul Ishara from his father and grandfather, while he learned Ilmul Ibara from the great ulama of the age. Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq was born in the year 700 of the Common Era. His father, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, was the son of Imam Zain al-Abidin and the grandson of Imam Hussein ibn Ali. The year was the 83rd year of the Hijrah, or 20 years after the tragedy of Karbala. We have specifically highlighted the chronology of Karbala because it defined, as we shall see, many of the convulsions that took place during the lifetime of Imam Ja'far. His mother, Farha bint Qasim ibn Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, was a great-great-granddaughter, Asma bint Umais, who was married to Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Therefore, through familial relationships, Imam Ja'far was related both to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Ali radiallahu anhu, and through Imam Hussein and Fatima al-Zahra radiallahu anha to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Imam Ja'far received his early education from his father, Imam Baqir, and his maternal grandfather, Al-Qasim. This stream of knowledge, both esoteric and exoteric, through Imam Baqir leads to an unbroken chain to Imam Zain al-Abidin, Imam Hussein, Fatima al-Zahra, Ali ibn Abi Talib, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The stream of knowledge from his maternal side leads in an unbroken chain to Abu Bakr and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is that in Imam Ja'far, the esoteric and the exoteric streams emanating from Abu Bakr and Ali ibn Abi Talib meet. In addition to his training from his father and grandfather, Imam Ja'far received formal education in the Quran and Ahadith from eminent ulama of the age. He was also well versed in mathematics, philosophy, astronomy, anatomy, alchemy, and the natural sciences. It was a period of rapid expansion of the Umayyad Empire. Imam Ja'far was only 11 years old when Tariq ibn Ziyad and Musa ibn Nusair crossed the Straits of Gibraltar and in a campaign extending over 7 years conquered Spain and Portugal. At the eastern extreme of the empire, Muhammad bin Qasim subdued Sindh and Multan, which is in modern Pakistan. Imam Ja'far was 17 when Umar bin Abdulaziz became the Khalifa in Baghdad. It was during the reign of this pious Khalifa and his fair and just administration towards all subjects that conversion in Persia and Egypt gathered momentum, and Imam Ja'far Sadiq was 33 years old when Umayyad armies under Abdurrahman I were stopped at the Battle of Tours in France and retreated to Sorbonne, thus marking the farthest reach of Muslim conquest in Europe. Imam Ja'far stayed above the political convulsions of the age, focusing instead on teaching and training the community. In this respect, he presages the great Sufi sheikhs who were to grace the canvas of Islamic history in later centuries, most of whom, with some notable exceptions like Sheikh Sanusi of Libya, Sheikh Shamail of Dagestan, and Sheikh Abdul Qadir of Algeria, shunned politics and political involvement, emphasizing instead the spiritual and ethical well-being of men and women. This outlook was of immense benefit to Islamic civilization. Imam Ja'far avoided the ruthless persecution that characterized Umayyad rule, focusing instead on scholarship and teaching. There was wisdom in this strategy. History owes a debt of gratitude to Imam Sadiq for his dedication to knowledge and teaching, which produced great luminaries in the fields of jurisprudence, tasawwuf, science, and mathematics. Imam Ja'far is known in history as one of the greatest of Islamic scholars and teachers. The method of teaching those days was in a halakha, or a circle, where a sheikh imparted knowledge and wisdom to those who attended his halakhas. It was the age when transmission of knowledge was through discourse between a teacher and his pupil. or a Sufi sage and his pupil. Such halqas were held in the house of a sheikh or in a masjid. Imam Ja'far initially taught at the halaqah started by his father Imam Baqir. As the attendance grew, the halaqas were held in the mosque of the Prophet in Medina. So great was his radiance that he immediately attracted a large number of students. Many of the students were learned and well-known sheikhs themselves, much older than Imam Ja'far, and in some fields as learned as he. Such was the humility of the scholars those days. They did not consider it beneath their dignity to learn from a younger man more knowledgeable than themselves. Among those who frequented his halaqas in the early years were Imam Abu Hanifa, who said with reference to his association with Imam Ja'far as-Siddiq, "Were it not for the 2 years I spent in the company of Ja'far as-Sadiq, I would be wandering in the desert." He referred to Imam Ja'far as the most learned scholar I have ever seen. The reference here is to the transmission of spiritual knowledge. Sharia has both an external aspect and an internal aspect. The internal aspect of Sharia is the anchor to which the external aspect is tethered. Imam Abu Hanifa is known as Imam al-Azam, meaning the great Imam in the field of jurisprudence. As acknowledged by Imam Abu Hanifa, the spiritual underpinnings of the Hanafi schools of jurisprudence owes much to the spiritual knowledge transmitted by Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, and through an unbroken chain of transmissions and his lineage to the spirituality of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, and for those who wish to immerse themselves into this deep ocean, to Nur Muhammadi, the light of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another great scholar who attended the halqa of Imam Ja'far was Imam Malik ibn Anas, after whom the Maliki school is named. From a historical perspective, the Maliki fiqh is based upon the rulings given by Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu during the Khilafat of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. Imam Malik of Medina was younger than Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq and Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Malik said of Imam Ja'far, "I was his regular visitor for a period of time, and I never saw him once without praying, fasting, or reciting the Quran." In the next generation after Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i of Damascus studied the teachings of Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik and developed the Shafi'i school of fiqh. The Hanbali fiqh, which grew out of a protest movement against the Mu'tazilites, used the earlier schools of fiqh as its basis. Thus, all the major schools of fiqh, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, and Ja'fariya, owe a debt of gratitude to the knowledge transmitted by Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq. Sharia has both an inner dimension and an outer dimension. It has an outward manifestation as well as an inner taste. If the major schools of fiqh reflect both the inner and the outer dimensions of the Sharia, it is due in no small measure to the insights offered by Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq. Imam Ja'far was not only a scholar of Kalam, Sunnah, and Hadith. He was a historian and a master of chemistry, astronomy, mathematics, and natural sciences. One of his students, Jabir ibn Hayyan, went on to distinguish himself as the foremost chemist and mathematician of his age. Imam Ja'far taught the natural and historical sciences as well. His teachings reveal that he knew about the rotation of the earth around the sun, the existence of elements beyond the four, namely earth, air, water, and fire, that were subscribed to by the Greeks. He also held discourses on the nature of light and heat that are consistent with our own modern understanding of these subjects. One of his students was the well-known chemist and mathematician Jabir ibn Hayyan. Wasil ibn Ata, who is generally credited with the founding of the Mu'tazilat school of philosophy, also studied at the halakha of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq. The character of Imam Ja'far was exemplary. He was pious, always engaged in remembrance of Allah. He emphasized the need for ethics, morality, and justice in human affairs. He taught reconciliation and brotherhood across interfaith and sectarian divides. Regarding the Sunnis, he said, "Pray with their tribes, take part in their funerals, visit their sick, and give them what is due to them." How different was the approach of the great Imams from the parochial approach of today's Muslims, who are at loggerheads with each other, steeped as they are in the ignorance and prejudice accumulated over centuries of self-serving historical narratives. This concludes our presentation on the remarkable life of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq. In the next session, inshallah, we'll consider the impact of philosophy on human history. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.